we're going to talk about the fact that we have a lot of pressure on the outside of your right foot already, okay, at address, before you take it away. So what happens then is it tends to want to, if you're going to make a poor move, it tends to want to move this way. Now when that hip moves this way, we can't actually rotate around, okay? So when I start to see this taking away, we see that
I've gone back a little
that
bit.
little tip. Now from all the data that we have from all those smart human beings, we know that right hip actually goes backwards. It goes slightly towards the target, not much, just a little. And when I say not much, it's less than half an inch essentially. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep pressure in your feet fairly constant in regards to, there's a lot of pressure that you've lost off this foot, so essentially you're hitting it off one leg. Now when we then have a look on the other side, we see that you haven't really rotated a great deal in the lower half.
Right.
So therefore you're going to have to use your arms a little bit more than what we'd like, and we don't generate as much speed, okay? So when we put elite level athletes in there, and certainly don't want to scare you by putting an elite level athlete in there, but I just want you to see what it actually looks like. So let's put Stewie in there. Where'd he go? I just had him and now I've lost him.
Yeah, I like Stuart.
Yeah.
Well, he's about 6'3".
Oh no, he's not that tall.
I thought he was, or 6'2".
Well, he's not that much taller than me, that's for sure.
All right, you met him.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
he was a big man. He's got a huge chest.
He's really broad shoulders, that's for sure. And he's got an unusually long neck and head that makes it look a little strange. Okay, so what I want you to do is, you can see obviously where he sets up here.
He's setting up more in the middle of his legs.
That's correct. And this pressure is about even there, but if you had to look at it, because he's standing on force plates there, by the way, so we're
Standing on what?
He's standing on force plates there, so that's measuring the pressure in his feet.
I see.
So believe it or not, it's actually about 55% into his left foot at this point in time.
His what?
Yeah, his pressure. And what happens then is, and if you watch his right hip here, as he starts to take this back, notice it really doesn't go past that line. It pretty much stays there.
Also note his left arm is straight.
Yeah.
Straight.
And another thing to note for a lot of people is the fact that they don't swing it back as far as what the magazines say that we should. Okay, so it doesn't
I
have
just can't swing it back.
exactly. So the idea is that I really don't need you to do too much there, as far as that's concerned. So now when we look at the angle of your left leg and left hip at address, and we take Stewie back to address, he's got a slightly different look about that leg, and he's got almost the same angle as your front leg, but reverse it and put it on the other leg there, okay? And they rotate around, rather than for you in particular, it doesn't really rotate around, it kind of slides back. So then you get caught, and we notice then the shaft gets a little vertical because of that. If I got you to take your body around, your lower half in particular, your arms wouldn't need to do that at all. Okay, so then you've got to try and match that up on the way down and try and organise yourself in to get back to impact. Now here you are thinking that your left arm isn't really that straight, and it's pretty straight there. Okay, it feels awkward if you're trying to straighten it any more than what that is there now. You can't, because of what your hips have done. Because this hip hasn't got out of the way and rotated around, there will never ever be a chance that will ever be bolt straight. But that's straight enough as it is there.
I do find that I seem to be hitting the ball with my left arm, and I can't seem to get any equal pressure from the right side into it.
Sure. Well, can you understand why at the moment with your right elbow up there where
sort
it
of bunching
is?
me up.
Exactly. So, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? We've got to get this working properly first before this will actually start to go around the way we want to. Now, that feels traditionally, for majority of people, like a reverse pivot, for want of a better term, because they keep pressure on their left foot. This left hip stays a lot higher. But clearly when we watch these guys, they aren't reverse pivoting, but that's the feeling in their feet. Yeah, and then they end up pushing past that line that they started with. Now, that I don't care about on the way down. Not right now. I've got to get the backswing in a bit better place before we even concern ourselves there. Which, unfortunately, to begin with, will give you some interesting shots. Okay? You'll find some interesting ones to begin with. But what'll happen is, over time, you'll produce one poor shot or one miss rather than a myriad of different shots. So fat shot, thin shot, right shot, left shot, and all
I've
in the
still
same
got fairly
section.
good coordination. One thing I remember, in order to stop yourself going backwards, is to kink your right knee in a little bit.
Sure.
I wonder if just doing that's going to change this angle here.
We're going to change the feeling. I'm going to direct it toward the pressure in your feet, as in what pushing into the ground, your big toes essentially. So I'm going to ask you to push your big toes into the ground, and if you lose the pressure off your big toes, you will end up moving laterally. Okay. So what that does, if I push down on my big toe, it raises the arch of my foot, and it starts to switch your glutes on, or your bum on, and your legs, as opposed to without that feeling. You'll end up rolling onto that right side too much, as in rolling on the outside of your foot too much, and that right hip will slide. So,
I can turn more. I just forget to.
yeah. Once again, if you're laterally sliding like that and starting that way to begin with, that's going to be difficult to turn. I don't think it's a thing of
Alright.
you can't turn or anything like that. I think it's just a case of functionally what it's done. So
Right.
let's start with that.